well, it's time now for our Rants and Raves. I'm going to start with you, Jon Keller.
Okay, Emily. John Roberts, the veteran Fox News reporter, boy, they make a lot of money, but it's not easy being a Fox News reporter. He covers the White House, and he was aggressively questioning the press secretary about whether or not President Trump did or did not denounce white supremacy during the debate. And he took a lot of heat for pressing that question online, on Twitter, and so forth. And finally, in a live shot on Fox, he kind of snapped a little.
So this all remains very puzzling. And for all of you on Twitter who are hammering me for asking that question, I don't care, because it's a question that needs to be asked. And clearly, the president's Republican colleagues a mile away from here are looking for an answer for it, too. So stop deflecting. Stop blaming the media. I'm tired of it.
Wow.
Okay. Stop deflecting, stop blaming the media. I can understand where he's coming from, particularly because he gets home from a long day at the White House and he has to watch, or if he does watch it, primetime Fox hosts playing that same scratchy record over and over and over again. No wonder he's tired.
Yeah, he did a good job asking the question. I was surprised that he kind of lost it there at the end. Okay, Joanna.
Well, speaking of Fox hosts or former Fox hosts, I have a rave for Shepard Smith, who left Fox almost a year ago. He was one of their most prominent anchors and kind of the tell it like it is, no BS guy. That was his persona. He started his new show on CNBC this week. He kind of billed it as the anti-cable news show in a way. The title of it, the name of it is pretty bland. It's just the news. And he says he's not going to have the big array of pundits. He's just going to report it and talk to the reporters and again, kind of tell it like it is. I've always been a fan of his. I spent a memorable day shadowing him years ago. I wish him well. It's a 7 p.m. time slot on CNBC, so not sure the odds are in his favor, but I wish him well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, razzle dazzle makes the day. Okay, Dan Lothian, what do you got?
Well, I have a rant for ABC's Jonathan Karl. He wrote a book in the spring. It was when it was released. It's called Front Row at the Trump Show. And in it, he criticized CNN's Jim Acosta, his tactics. He's always having these confrontational press conferences with the president. And he said that this really sort of fed into the whole narrative of the press being the opposition party. So very critical of him then. But now, upon further reflection, he's kind of backing off of that and said if he had to write the book again, he probably would not have included that, and says that Jim Acosta has been vindicated given how the president has continued to go after the media. I, frankly, don't necessarily agree with that. I think that he was right his first time out in the book in describing Jim Acosta, because you have to look at covering the White House as not just about a person who is the president of the United States, but an office. And so you should frame how you ask your questions and how you do your job with respect for the office of the presidency. Again, not having, you don't have to like the president, but there's still some kind of respect that you have to have for him. Wow. And so therefore, I think he was right in saying that Jim Acosta's style feeds
I think he was wrong. I think all bets are off. This is not any normal president. So I agree with Jonathan Karl's revision, but it's good to disagree. All right, Dan Kennedy.
I rant for a neurobehavioral hospital in Crown Point, Indiana. One of their employees, a woman named Kimberly Jackson, gave an interview to the New York Times in which she was talking about the practice of dumping nursing home patients at the hospital if they're not able to pay the full rate. And she got fired. The hospital fired her because she spoke to the New York Times about this very important situation. I understand that there are policies against speaking to the media, but this just seemed absolutely extreme.
Yeah, but that's what it was. A lot of these places do have those kinds of policies in place for various reasons. They want a spokesperson to be it. And I mean, I'm sympathetic to what you're saying, but I also understand the policy.
There's no First Amendment in the workplace.
That's exactly right.
But what you're saying was right on target, and I think they should have respected that.
Yeah. All right, well, finally, I have a rant tonight for protesters, some of the protesters in general. It seems like it's like open, take it out on the press day. I mean, a lot of press people have been pushed around, kicked around. One of our reporters was out at the scene of a protest the other night and took this picture of a protester putting her hands up in front of the camera lens, saying she wanted to protect the privacy of the protesters. Well, the protesters are in a public place, and that is the whole idea. And by the way, the media is there to get your story, to hear what you want to say. They're not your enemy. They're not anybody's enemy. They're trying to tell a story. And this idea that now it's just, and I think President Trump has set the tone that somehow the media is everybody's enemy, and it's just not the case. And I'm afraid something really terrible is going to happen. There have already been a couple of instances. One camera was kicked the other day. One reporter from Channel 5 was stabbed. That ended up being probably some kooky guy. But nevertheless, reporters are putting themselves in danger every day, and camera people in particular, and leave them alone.